Right, hello, my name is Eric. Some of you may know me, most of you may not. I've always considered making videos for the internet, and today is the day that I start that journey. This is unscripted, coming straight out of my head. A few days ago, the man who employs me challenged me to list my favorite albums. Recently I did that on Instagram. I threw out the piece of paper that I had all the albums listed on, and I'm sure they're all floating in my head, but I'm just going to show some of my favorite records that I own today. Records I started purchasing when I was 19 years old. I'm 28 years old now. I believe my first record, I think, was Cake's first record, Motorcade of Generosity, which was re-released in 2009 or so. So let's get to it. I'm going to show you some records that are unique and fun at complete random. Here's the first one, The Whip. This band is sort of the offshoot of Carp. Carp is a great band from Washington that does not exist anymore. It's sort of, you might know of Jared, who joined the Melvins and is part of Big Business. That's him. The drummer, rest in peace, from Carp, and Joe Preston, who's one of my favorite bassists. So this is just a little old 45 with a couple tunes on it, and that's the only official release that came out back then, when it came out in, 2002? Nice and heavy, weird, funny. I love it. Love anything from any of those guys. Here's Beck's first release, MTV Makes Me Want to Smoke Crack. There's a song by a guy named Bean on the back, on the B-side, BBB Bean. Love the song MTV Makes Me Want to Smoke Crack. This cost me probably like $80, which is actually a pretty good deal for this old, relatively, 7-inch. MTV makes me want to smoke crack. Fall out of the window and I'm never coming back. It's blue. It's blue. I'm not blue. Not today. Sometimes I'm blue, but feeling pretty spicy today. We'll follow it up with a more recent Beck release. I Just Started Hating Some People Today. Hilarious. Another very funny song. Blue Randy's the B-side. Really nice track as well. This was a funny one coming from back 2009. Yeah. Love it. Really? 2009? No, that's when something else happened. Got Jack White on here too. I feel like it was more, 2012. The year the world ended. Some new modern Scientology Becky boy. Dillinger Escape Plan, my first metal show. Really opened my mind. Love these guys. This was their first, was it their first EP? I don't know. The first major one before Calculating Infinity, their first full length. This is brutal, mathcore, grindy business. But these songs are pretty catchy, The Mullet Burden, Under the Running Board. That's the EP here, Under the Running Board. Love that song. This is a triple 7-inch of the Jesus Lizard, all live tracks. One of my favorite, I guess the first song that I heard from the Jesus Lizard was Bloody Mary, live version on YouTube. So, Bloody Mary, Monkey Trick, Killer McCon, all insane songs, even more insane live by the tightest punk band I'd say that ever existed. Never got to see them. I learned about them right after they toured and hit Vancouver in 2009, so missed out on that. Hope I get to see them sometime. Do some reunions, please. I guess we're rocking through the 7 inches right now. This is The Locust. The records inside are a puzzle that fit together, which is outrageous and it's kind of unnecessary, but totally necessary at the same time. The Locust are probably one of the few bands that rivals the Dillinger Escape Plan for just sheer brutalness. all in their locust costumes there. Weird, funny, abrasive. It's part of a puzzle. You know, it fits together into a square with rounded edges. So that's a good thing to have around. Put it together once, play the tunes. You know, it's like, actually the most important thing about the locust is that there's usually a moog involved, so it's like extremely tight, precise, grinding music with a moog going, which I think is pretty important for society. Let's put that away. Oh, might as well read some of the song titles out. We've got Gluing Carpet to Your Genitals Does Not Make You a Cantaloupe. We've got Turning Your Merchandise into a Ripped Wall of Mini ABS. Bring Your 6.5 Italian Carbine. Alas, Here Comes the Hypochondriacs to Wait With You in the Lobby. Siphoning Projectiles During Selective Amnesia. Get Off the Cross. The Wood Is Needed. Good point. Wet Nurse Syndrome Hand-Me-Down Display Case. This is Radio Surgery. Spitting in the Faces of Fools as a Source of Nutrition. Sever the Toes. Flight of the Wounded Locust. All very nice songs for you to enjoy. I think this is the Locust's first, record, but don't quote me on that. It's self-titled. Come on, let's see some song titles there. There we go. Love my webcam. I love my webcam. Sponsored by Logitech. Hello, Logitech. And as I mentioned earlier, the whip sort of came from Carp. I really sort of have gravitated to certain few bands from Washington, since I'm just across the water in a secret place that I won't tell you about. Yeah, Carp, they formed in high school, stands for Kill All Redneck Pricks. Probably just one of the most unique bands with this sound that I know of. They're just fun. Especially love this. This was one of their last release. And I love Prison Shake and what are the two songs on this? There's Prison Shake and Rowdy. Both really good songs. We're upgraded to 10 inches now. We got a 10-inch record. Carp's first full-length, Mustache is Wild. They were so young when they made this. I love songs like Doing Banshees and Mr. Big Mouth. Me Big Mouth. That's what it says in the back. I thought it was Mr. Big Mouth. Probably just a typo from a funny little record company. I've got this on tape as well, just because I'm that kind of person. Alright, here's a pretty one. Lord Quaz, Quasimodo, Madlib, the beat conductor. We can see Lord Quaz's guts here, what he's made out of, all of his weird bits and bops. Really cool 2 tracks on this as well. Talking Shit and Plant Attack. Love. Madlib, no one compares. Caramellos, we got this signed by the current members of Caramellos, so, Johnny Boy didn't play drums on this EP, but he still plays all those songs and absolutely destroys them. So, this EP is called Drugs to the Dear Youth. I got to see them play 40 Rocks to the Hog's Head. I think that video is on YouTube, Vancouver, the Media Club. 420 show. I was under the influence of psychedelic mushrooms and really enjoyed myself. Caramellos, one of my favorite bands. Hard to pick a favorite Melvins record, but I think Bullhead is definitely my favorite Melvins record. Nice, slow, heavy, iconic. Kurt Cobain was the roadie. Lorax was the bass player on this album. Lori, she is the daughter of Shirley Temple. There's a lovely picture of her sitting on Shirley Temple's knee with the Beatles. Let's see what we got inside. There's Buzz playing guitar there, Lori on the bass, and Dale
slamming the drums.
I don't know, this one's just the best one. You know, there's a couple faster songs with driving bass lines, like It's Shoved. It's Shoved is an amazing song, but Boris is an amazing song. The band Boris is named after it. I love the drum outro to the final song, Cow. Amazing record, 1991. Amy Winehouse I became obsessed with probably 4 years ago. One day I decided to sand a door, and I listened to Frank. Frank's probably my favorite album, but Back to Black is still incredibly iconic. My favorite song on Back to Black is probably Addicted. I think it's got a great sense of humor, great insight, as do all of Amy Winehouse's songs. They're incredibly well crafted. The lyrics are just mind-blowing. So many double entendres, insinuations, while also being very cheeky. Just one of the best musicians of my lifetime. Amy. Cried many times listening to her music. One of my mom's records, Devo. We are all devolving. Hopefully some of us are evolving. Devo was formed because I think at least a couple of them were present at the Kent State Massacre. And that would obviously influence you to have some very strong feelings about society. Devo are one of the most amazing acts of all time. Are We Not Men? We Are Devo. Amazing songs. Every single song on this record. Here's a recent record, Freddie. This is modeled after a Teddy Pendergrass record. I'm fairly sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I just pull information out of my butt that I might have misheard. But I know it was definitely a man named Teddy. It wasn't Teddy Roosevelt. I know that. I've always loved Freddie Gibbs. Well, let me not say always. I didn't know him before his record with Madlib, so he actually had quite a few records before that. Yeah, I obviously really loved Pinata, but every release after that for me just kept on increasing my huge love and respect for Freddie Gibbs. And this record, I found, was just employed a lot of the elements of rap that I wasn't really as rap and hip hop that I wasn't as into, just like very heavy gangster new beats. And this album, I was laughing my ass off the first time I heard it and slamming my head. Amazing record. Probably one of my first 5 records that I ever bought. Probably got this one off eBay back when I was 19, and was definitely my introduction to the Dillinger Escape Plan. This was their record with Mike Patton, Irony is a Dead Scene. Once again, probably one of the most extreme albums to exist, I think. Just totally ridiculous. When Good Dogs Do Bad Things is an insane song, as are all of them. Come to Daddy is a cover, which is hilarious because it's Aphex Twin, and the drummer on this, Chris Penny, I think transcribed out the whole thing, and the drums are completely accurate to the electronic drums that Aphex Twin programmed. So extremely impressive. You're gonna have to listen to some nice screams on this one, okay? You better like it. Something that I didn't get when it was released, but I had to have. It's the Liquid Swords chess box set. One of the most important hip-hop albums to me, although there are plenty. Liquid Swords, the Jizza, the Genius, not much else to say. We've got a record set in here. We've got a chess set. You can play chess while you're listening to chess boxing. What's my favorite song? Fourth Chamber, maybe? That's tough. I love Rizzo on that one. But extremely impressive record. Probably listened to that for like a year straight when I used to order pizza. Harvey Milk, named after Harvey Milk. Really glad I have this record. There's a Leonard Cohen cover on this one. No, there's a song called All the Livelong Day, but it's on their first record, which I also own. I just like the artwork on this one more. Harvey Milk's a band from Athens, Georgia. Sludgiest sludge in the world. Sludgier than Melvin's, I'd say. Love Melvin's, love Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk, used to follow the lead singer a lot on Facebook, but he's a bit of a conspiracy theorist, so sorry, buddy. Sorry, Creston. You're not getting no money on Patreon right now, but I've got your record from back in 1995 or so. Just, yeah. I remember my dad put this on when his friend was over, and they were like, dude, these guys sound depressed. And it's like, yeah, this is probably up there with the depression music. Shoo Shoo, Harvey Milk. Good when you're really feeling it, you know? Really down in the dumps, but wanting to realize there's other people that are far more down in the dumps. As I said earlier, the Jesus Lizard, one of the best punk bands ever to exist, from Texas. Liar's just a non-stop roller coaster ride. Bam! From that first sound, first rhythm, guitar, drums, bass. Damn. Older, we got an original Canadian pressing of Lark's Tongue and Aspic, King Crimson. I remember putting on the first song for a friend in my old van. He was like, wow, this is like Black Sabbath times a million. Lots of beautiful, a couple, there's only 6 songs on here. I was going to say lots of beautiful songs. Lots of heaviness too. I think this is an iconic album. I found it in a roadside diner in Souk. The man has an amazing little spot where he sells a lot of records and serves up some good diner grub. This is actually not a very good vinyl pressing, but one of my favorite records. Not my favorite Mr. Bungle album. My favorite one is Disco Volante, which does have an original vinyl pressing, so that's actually my favorite record of all time, Disco Volante. And this is also an amazing album, California. Should have come out a few days before Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but Anthony Kiedis was a little douchebag and kicked Mr. Bungle off a bunch of tours. This is an insanely produced album. Heaviness, prettiness, everything. It's a technical masterpiece. Probably my previous favorite album before Disco Volante was Uncle Meat, The Mother's Invention. Once again, this is an original pressing. I've got all the original pressings of most of Zappa's 60s output. Here's Absolutely Free. One of the first records I bought. We're only in it for the money. Love it. Now, most of these records are over 50 years old now. Actually, all of them are. Freak Out. This was my first dive into the Mothers when I was 15 years old. Thanks, Dad. So those are the ones I have, but Uncle Meat, definitely my favorite. Zappa. Bop bop. This just goes everywhere. It's pretty abstract. Love it. One of my favorite modern bands that most people are probably not aware of because they're kind of just local to Minneapolis, in fact, are the Seahorse. This is album artwork by a artist out there named Mathai. Seahorse are bizarre, heavy, and one of my favorites. My favorite Talking Heads record is Remain in Light. Once again, original pressing. That's how I roll. I like to try and get the originals since there's always people selling them online. Discogs.com is the best way to find used records, I find. I have been a big record buff for almost 10 years now, but honestly, the vinyl creation process is horrible for the environment. Back in the day, it was all dumped in the Fraser River in Vancouver when there was a vinyl production plant, until that shut down in the 90s, I guess. So now it's mostly done in another country by the name of Thailand. So, now we just dump a bunch of toxic chemicals into a river outside Bangkok instead. So I don't like buying a ton of records, and buying old used is definitely preferable. We got a few more. We got two more. Not a few more. A couple more. Caramelos. Once again, this is one of the early ones when they had a different drummer. Now he's like a math instructor at university. So, oh yeah, I'm wearing the shirt. Hello. Except it's got poochy, itchy, and scratchy. And I got this shirt at the show. They had it down below in a cardboard box. And I said, "You got any really cool shirts?" And Nathan, the bassist, was like, "Dude, we got these ones down here." Of course, I purchased this one. This was actually, I guess this was I bought both these at the same 420 show, I'm pretty sure. But don't quote me on that, I'm not thinking too hard right now. Last record that I will show you that I love, although I love all my other records as well, is Weezer's Blue Album. I bought this. This is not the first pressing, but the second pressing, a European pressing, and I got it from my friend Reed's brother Steven. So I really love the lyric, "This bottle of Stevens awakens ancient feelings." So I think this record of Stevens, and that's really, it's my close friend. So I used to drive around with that friend and blast this, and we'd sing along to the whole record. So I've performed a couple of these songs live. Me on saxophone though, so that's fun. Weezer plus saxophone. All right. Well, that took 22 minutes to go through a little tiny pile of records, and I didn't go into much detail. This is my first video vloggy. It's a vlog. So yeah, I can talk about my life. I can talk about books. I can talk about records. I can talk about my mustache. Hope everyone's having a really great day. Black Lives Matter. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. Everybody do what you can right now. Even more if you can. Love everyone.